Hello, this is KT. I am back. I'm going to work a little bit more on the wing and also start some lettering. I have burnt umber. I've switched brushes. I've switched to just a regular old, it's one of my older one-stroke brushes. I don't have my glasses on. It's an angle brush, 3/4 angle brush. And I'm just going to float a little color just at the base between the body and the wing, and around the edge of the wing. And it's just really to bring it out, bring the wing out, have it stand out a little bit. I didn't even go back in and dab it, walk it out or anything. I didn't walk out the float. I just, did a little quick thing. And I will go back with my filbert. And now I'm dipping it into titanium white. And I'm just doing it, not even using the full pressure of my brush. I'm just going back in and really just, because I want as many of the layers underneath to show as possible. Sorry. So I'm just using the tip. I probably could use a smaller filbert, but uh, maybe the less perfect it looks, the better. It's folk art. It's not a realistic rendition. So now I'm just being a little more, I'm not putting the petals close together at all. Oops. And I'm just, I don't know, well, I'm sure everyone these days, or almost everyone these days, is on Facebook. And I know a lot of people get annoyed sometimes when other people, put up like daily sayings and different inspirational things. And what I started doing was the sayings that people put up that caught my eye, I write them down. And you'll see as my videos go along where I'm going to start finding inspiration for sayings and different things for my, not just for my art journals, but just for different projects that I'll be working on. One of the sayings that I saw that I'm going to put on this book um, caught my eye because of a conversation that I had with an ex-boyfriend. And one of the reasons, I mean, it was hurtful 20 years ago, but, we talk, we're still friends, and one of the things we talked about was one of the reasons why he dumped me was because, he was on the fast track, really educated guy, had it all going on, and he was an architect. He still is an architect, but he was up and coming, and he really had his stuff together. I was, 20 something and still trying to find myself. And I didn't see anything wrong with not having a career. I went to college and I was going to, still taking classes, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be a lawyer. I didn't know if I wanted to, be a full-time artist. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I thought, for me, being in my 20s, that's what it was all about, to just explore, um, just different things. And one of the best things that I ever did was get into the area of temping. And it just allowed me to work at different jobs and, um, just see what I liked and see what I wanted to do. And you know, one of the reasons why he dumped me was because he just said I had no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and he needed someone with a little bit more, stability. And even at 20, I felt like the expectation to be stable at 20 was ridiculous. So we broke up. And fast forward 20 years ago, I'm doing something that I love to do in the real world and my full-time job, and I've continued on with my art, and I've explored, many different, things. And I found a quote just scrolling on my timeline on Facebook, and it's by Tolkien, and the quote is, "Not all who wander are lost." And every time I talk to my ex, and every time my son, who's a teen, you know, they put so much pressure on these kids to find a major, or what do you want to do, or where do you want to go? And there's nothing more important, at least to me, than finding yourself. Just because you're not sure, especially when you're young, just because you're not sure and you don't know what you want to do and you don't know where you want to go, there's nothing wrong with that. There's really, at least not in my view, you know, there's nothing wrong with that at all. So that is the saying I'm going to put on the cover of my journal. I um I just feel really strongly about that, you know. So I'm not, as you're going to see, I'm just going to freehand it. I'm not going to stencil it. I'm not going to pencil it out. I'm just going to put it on here, then go back and, add highlights. And I'm just starting off with, I'm just doing it in the burnt umber. And I'll go back and darken it up with the black. And this brush that I'm using is, God, I need glasses. Number 5 Shui brown brush. So I'm going to switch brushes to a smaller liner brush because I don't like anything uniform. This is a Zero Royal Fusion brush. Not all who wander are lost. And if anyone believe, before the whole explosion of art journaling and all these different things, you know, my grandfather always called me a gypsy. I've lived in so many different places, and done so many different things, and I took my mother's advice to heart growing up. She said, when you're in your 20s, live for you. Explore. Do everything that you want to do in your 20s. You know, don't fall into the trap of listening to everyone. Um, Say that you have to pick a major or, you know, get married and have kids. You know, it's not for everyone. And so I took my 20s and I traveled and I worked in different places. Not all who wander. And it's just something I believe. So when I saw this saying, it struck home because it's what I really, really believe. Not all who wander are lost. And I always add, if you know who did the saying, if you know who said something, always give credit where credit is due. So I was going to look through all of my scrapbooking supplies and get lettering and sticky letters and stuff like that, and I just decided against it. And like I said in the previous video, I just want to add as much of myself, and painting is a big part of who I am. As much as I love scrapbooking and mixed media, I'm an artist and I love to paint. And so I'm going to really let this dry. I may not turn off the tape. I'm just going to hit this with the blow dry real quick, and then I'll go over it with not matte varnish, glazing medium, and then take a break and see what I want to do with the lettering. Okay. And again, the reason why I chose to do the lettering in brown is because if I didn't like it, if I ran out of room, it's easier to get it off the surface and start again, as opposed to starting with black. Once this all dries, I will go back over the lettering in black and add some different things. Um, and I'll do that on camera. So I'm going to add, if I can find it, you know, I just cleaned up my paint table, so to speak, and can't find a thing. Here it is. So I'm going to add a little glazing medium, and I do this all the time. And this will just seal the first layer of the lettering and everything else that I've done. And I'm going to let it just air dry. It's not varnish, it's glazing medium. And a lot of artists use glazing medium for floating and transparency, but I use it mainly for just what I'm doing now, to just seal my surface in between a project so I don't lose what I have, and it's not as unforgiving as varnish. And when you use this, and I put it over the paper too, when you use it as you're painting over it, continuing on with your layers, it really has a nice effect. as you're building your layers and working on your project. So now it's just a matter of letting this dry and going back to work on bringing out my I guess the title of it, and we will see if that's what I'm going to do. But once again, thank you for hanging in there, and if you have any suggestions for me or things that you want me to do in upcoming videos, because I'm really going to stay focused this year and trying to put more of my projects on my YouTube channel. So if there's anything in particular that you'd like me to try, or something that I've done in the past that you want me to do again, or something that you saw me do and you want me to explain it, put it in the comments, and I'll see if I can help you. Thanks again for your time. And this is KT. Happy crafting and have a good weekend. Monday is Inauguration Day, 3-day weekend. If you're not going to watch the festivities or not going to freeze your butts off in DC, you know, take a long weekend and do something creative. Have a good weekend.